start off with some gratitude today. And I think this a lot, but I don't often say it. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to do this work. And I'm going to share a story with you as we start off. I've got about 5 slides that I want to kick off the vagina dialogues with today. And then we're going to get down to some serious business, some education for your vulva, vaginal, and pelvic health. But I want to thank you for being here. It is because of your questions and your engagement that we are able to create really amazing, solid educational opportunities for our members and for folks like you who might be taking this information and sharing it with your friends, your mothers, your daughters, your grandmothers, the people at work, whatever. I mean, there's so much to unpack here, and it's not common conversation. So we're going to change that a little bit today. And I want to start with, well, first of all, I need to share my screen. Whoops. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. This is my vulva vase. I've been working so hard this year to find photos that really work for this seminar, because as you know, the vagina is inside. And so there aren't any photos, but social media, the internet has a lot of fruit and flowers, if you will. And I continue to use fruit and flowers in some of my presentations, but my girlfriend recently gifted me this vase, which I call it my vulva vase. And I think it's amazing. So I just wanted to use that as the title slide today as we get started. As I mentioned, we are, kind of starved for good imagery when we're talking about vulva and vaginal health, but we're going to cover a lot of territory today. And this is just some of it. And we are going to talk about vulva and vaginal health. As I mentioned, I have 5 slides and some new news that I want to begin with. I'm actually I don't usually get nervous, but I'm really excited about sharing this with you today. So we're going to kick it off by talking about hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule. It's made by our bodies, but it starts to decline in our 30s and 40s, and it declines significantly along with estrogen in postmenopause. Now, I don't know about you, but the very first time I heard the words hyaluronic acid, first of all, I thought it was something made externally. And secondly, I heard about it from the beauty industry. And that's because starting around 2008, the beauty and cosmetic industry started to include hyaluronic acid in its products. It's a super strong molecule, very moisturizing. It can carry 1,000 times its weight in moisture. So this is important for you to know as we go forward, because in 2013, a group of researchers led by Dr. Petra Stute, who is a European gynecologist, tested hyaluronic acid and asked the question, is vaginal hyaluronic acid as effective as localized estrogen therapy for vaginal dryness? So up until 2013, the only real option for women to treat vaginal dryness was localized estrogen therapy. It remains one of the gold standard treatment options, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later today. But the thing is with localized estrogen therapy is it is part of hormone therapy, which is a prescription product, and prescriptions can rarely be written by doctors unless a condition exists. So up until this research by Dr. Stute and her team, there were really limited prevention options. So today we're going to talk about prevention and treatment, but I wanted to share this research right off the top because it has guided a lot of the work that we've done over the last 3 years. And the authors concluded that yes, hyaluronic acid vaginal gel was not inferior, which means it was as effective as localized estrogen therapy for women presenting with vaginal dryness. Then in May 2021, and those of you that don't know, I have been researching menopause related topics and education every day for the last 10 years. In May 2021, I signed up for this webinar. I attend a lot of online education. This is with the International Society of Gynecologists, who were hosting with Dr. Stute a webinar on hormone-free therapy for vaginal dryness. And what happened in this webinar was a line in the sand, because in May 2021, the International Society of Gynecologists recommended to all of its members, so its members are physicians and gynecologists, that moisturizing with hyaluronic acid should be the first line of defense. Okay, so why is all of this important? Well, when I started Menopause Chicks in 2016, or sorry, when I started, in 2012, sorry. When I started Menopause Chicks in 2012, 10 years ago, can't really do the math today because I'm so excited. I was in my early to mid 40s and I was in perimenopause, and I was experiencing things like sleep deprivation, brain fog, mood changes, anxiety, changes to my period, classic perimenopause experiences. I assumed incorrectly that the rest of the world would want to talk about those things. And while that's true, I surveyed my new members. I asked my community what topics they wanted, and they came back with, hands down, we need more options for vaginal dryness. Conversations weren't happening in their doctor's office. They weren't getting answers. Women were trying to self-treat with things like food oils and what have you. I've heard all kinds of crazy stories. And so I went to Pure Pharmacy, who I had been working with a little bit. The CEO of Pure Pharmacy was one of my co-authors in Moquita, and the compounding pharmacists at Pure Pharmacy compounded a hyaluronic acid vaginal moisturizer specifically for Menopause Chicks members. Very exclusive, very exciting. So grateful that I was able to collaborate and tap into that kind of talent. And so in 2019, 3 years ago, we were able to share this product with our members, and it's guided by the research of Dr. Stute and her team, and guided by the fact that hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule that can prevent dryness and treat dryness. So for 3 years, and you've probably seen some of the testimonials that I share every now and then because they're so heartwarming, women in the Menopause Chicks community have been using this hyaluronic acid moisturizer. Then this past year, and it has been a bit of a journey, I'm not going to lie, we went through Health Canada approval. The moisturizer, I am happy and pleased to tell you today, is now approved by Health Canada and has an NPN number, which is a natural product number. And as you can see, it has been branded Feel Amazing. That's because, well, A, the label itself feels amazing, but also because it really is one more step that we can all take towards feeling amazing now and for the next 3 to 5 decades. So on to the rest of our conversation today around vulva and vaginal health. And if you can see the bottom of the screen, you'll see a phrase, Genital Syndrome of Menopause, or GSM. yet another acronym. I don't use that. This is a term that was also, I think, coined by a team of doctors at the North American Menopause Society in 2019, around the time that the Pure Pharmacy Vaginal Moisturizer was first launched. But it's not common language, and I've never, not once, had a member pop into the Menopause Chicks community and say, I'm experiencing symptoms of GSM. But the reason why this term was created in the medical community is because it's an umbrella term, and it recognizes the fact that we're not just talking about vaginal dryness. We're talking about vulva health, vaginal health, urinary health, bladder health, pelvic health as a whole. So that's really important for you to know, but that's probably the last time that I'll say GSM today. Why do we need to learn about vaginal dryness? Well, here you go. Here's the wheel of reasons. I want you to be able to sit comfortably, move comfortably, go to yoga, go to dance lessons, feel confident and amazing, enjoy penetrative sex if that is a choice of yours. I want you to wear clothing that feels comfortable. I heard a really, really sad story a couple of summers ago from a woman who showed up in her doctor's office and said, oh, I'm so glad it's summer, I can wear sundresses. And the doctor didn't really know what she meant at the time, but she was referring to the fact that she could no longer wear pants or jeans comfortably because vaginal atrophy was impacting her life to that degree, to that level. Okay, so that's really, really important. We do not want to get there. We also want to avoid UTIs and avoid incontinence and prolapse. And the way that we do that is by ensuring that our pelvic health is a priority for us. There's other reasons too. Can you see that? I've got brain health pointing to move. So here's the link for that. And it's not always a natural link for people when we mention vaginal dryness, but think about what's the first thing that we do when we're uncomfortable, when we have a yeast infection, when we have vaginal dryness, when we have a UTI with pain associated with it, when we're experiencing incontinence. One of the first things that women will often do is stop moving, stop exercising, stop accepting the lunch date with their friends, stop going out. Those things impact our brain health and our mental health. So we have to do whatever we can now in this window of opportunity that I call midlife, so that we can keep moving comfortably and take care of the rest of our health. And then the other line here, the red line that goes from avoid UTIs to brain health, and we can talk about it a little bit more in the Q&A if you have questions, but UTIs in older women can sometimes not show up with the typical symptoms like frequent urinary urge to go, or even pain, or maybe they've become so used to those symptoms that they don't even recognize it as a UTI. But I've heard stories, and I believe I experienced this with my own mother even, of a UTI acting like signs of dementia and brain health decline. And it does happen a lot in the ER, where women and men will be brought in because they're showing signs of dementia, and when tested, they actually have an untreated UTI. So that's super important. And then, of course, I've got, oh my God, costly attached to incontinence. I'll break down the costs for you, but I really just want you to know how you can save over $50,000 today. So that tip is coming up. And this, we've got to spread the word on this. Vaginal dryness does not get better with time. And the reason I use that soundbite is because I know that there are too many members of our society who believe that menopause is something that we just have to get through, suffer, suck it up, Can't wait for it to be over. And if you followed me for a while, you know that none of that is true, that menopause is one day. It's the 12-month anniversary of our final period. We all reach it if we're lucky enough to live that long. And some of our midlife experiences, whether we're challenged with sleep deprivation or brain fog, they might get better with time. They might get better with some lifestyle tweaks. But vaginal dryness will not get better with time. So that's why I'm so grateful that you're here and that we're doing this learning together. And as I mentioned earlier, 80% of us will experience vulva and vaginal dryness in postmenopause. And currently, less than 4% of those experiencing vaginal dryness are getting relief or have been presented with a viable option. So that's another reason why we have to spread the word. Okay. Vulva and vaginal dryness. Now, what we're going to do now is break down all of our options for prevention and for treatment. So first of all, what causes vulva and vaginal dryness? A decline in hyaluronic acid. As I mentioned off the top, hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule. Our body makes it on its own, but it starts to decline in our 30s and 40s, about 10% per decade, and it continues to decline, and it's more of a steep or rapid decline after we reach menopause. The other reason for vaginal dryness might be fluctuating hormones in perimenopause. So in perimenopause, those 5 to 15 years leading up to menopause, our hormones are often like a roller coaster. That is the definition of perimenopause. And so you might from time to time experience dryness if you're in perimenopause. The decline in estrogen is the biggie. Estrogen is our juicy hormone. I mean, it has a lot of roles and responsibilities that it performs for our body when our cycles are regular. But estrogen is our juicy hormone, and it's responsible for keeping our eyes moist and our mouth moist and our joints lubricated and our vagina lubricated. And what happens is in perimenopause, estrogen can sometimes be high or higher than regular. And then after menopause, it goes for a steep decline, and that can impact dryness everywhere. Eyes, mouth, skin, joints, and of course the skin on our vulva and inside the vagina wall. Postpartum. These are some of the things that I didn't even think of, right, before I started my learning journey about vaginal dryness. So postpartum, if you know anyone who's just had a baby, again, hormones are fluctuating after we've given birth. And so vaginal dryness can be something. And my fear is that women who aren't on this class today or aren't in the Menopause Chicks community think they're the only one. They think they're alone, and they think that they need to suffer in silence. It's not something that they can talk about either with their friends or even with their health team. The birth control pill is a big culprit for vaginal dryness. Anyone going through breast cancer treatment, other medications and health conditions, and my daughter taught me this. It's actually something in her generation that's become quite popular: overuse of panty liners. So the absorbent nature of paper-based pads and panty liners can lead to vulva and vaginal dryness because it's pulling the moisture away from the skin that we want to have there naturally. So what can we do? So you'll notice in brackets, I've put P's and T's because some of these things cross over between prevention and treatment. The first thing on the prevention list is sexual activity and orgasms. Now, let me clarify for you what I mean, because sex is another one of those umbrella terms. I do not mean penis in vagina sex, unless that's your choice. There are many other sexual activity choices that we can make that send energy to our pelvic floor, and that can help produce lubrication naturally. Regular pelvic floor exercise is both a prevention strategy and a treatment approach. If you haven't already, please book an appointment with a pelvic floor physiotherapist. You will learn so much about your body, and it's really important if you can get there as part of a prevention strategy. But if you're already experiencing bladder leakage, incontinence, rectal incontinence, vaginal dryness, go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. They're really going to help you on the treatment side of things too. You can moisturize with hyaluronic acid. Okay, so Feel Amazing has, whoops, where, I'm not used to this label. Feel Amazing has been formulated as a prevention and a treatment option for you. You know, the label says you can apply 2 pumps a day, but it's not a prescription. So you don't have to consult a doctor before you use it. You can simply apply as needed. I have members who use it every other day. I have members who use it every day. And I have members who in the beginning opt to moisturize 2 to 3 times per day because they know how effective hyaluronic acid is at restoring natural moisture back into the skin cells of the vulva and the vaginal wall. And they also know that they will be able to taper back. And many of them get to a place where they're only then using it once a day once their dryness improves. Number 5 is localized estrogen therapy. It only has a T in brackets because it's a treatment option. So again, you know that physicians can only prescribe something for a condition that exists. And I hate the thought of you or anyone watching this waiting for vaginal dryness to happen. If over 80% of us are going to experience it in postmenopause, why wait? Why not prevent? So localized estrogen therapy is a viable treatment option though, and many members use both the estrogen therapy and the hyaluronic acid moisturizer because they know that both are declining in postmenopause. So that is something you go to your doctor for. It's a very simple prescription. They're likely very well versed in prescribing it, but little tip, they may not bring it up. So please don't wait and say, oh, my doctor never mentioned it, so I must not need it. That's not true. I want you to go to your doctor and bring it up if that is something that you are interested in including in your health plan. And then, of course, there are women who suffer extreme vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy. Atrophy means when a muscle actually shrinks in size. If you maybe reached menopause 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, you might find yourself in a situation where you're just hearing this information for the first time, and that's okay. Start with the moisturizing, with the hyaluronic acid, talk to your doctor about what options are available for you for localized hormone therapy, and know that there are still other options on the menu. So I've included 2 here. One is red light therapy that you would use at home. So this is a treatment option. This is the V-Sculpt from a company called Joylux. I don't have it on right now, but this is where the red light therapy works to restore the collagen inside the vaginal wall. So that's something if you're interested in, you can find out more at joylux.com. And then you may have heard about laser therapy in your doctor's office. So a popular brand name would be the Mona Lisa Touch, and that is actually a machine that a gynecologist or a doctor purchases and gets trained in, and they take appointments with women in their doctor's office for laser therapy. And it, is very restorative to the cells of the vagina. I know lots of women who have had breast cancer opt for this treatment going forward. I want you to know that the only thing not on this menu is suffering in silence. You are not allowed to do that. You have lots of options here to try. Another quick reminder, book yourself an appointment with a pelvic floor physiotherapist. This is Sheila Zelmer. She's in Newmarket, Ontario. I live in Port Moody, British Columbia. You can watch my first appointment with my pelvic floor physiotherapist, Lacey at Bump Physio, on my YouTube channel. And so there's nothing X-rated about the video. What you'll find, though, is the dialogue between Lacey and I, the questions that get asked, what I was asked to do during the physical part of the exam, which is really about, I don't know, I could be wrong on this, but it's about 5% of the overall appointment. Over 90% of the appointment is conversation and education about our body, and then getting a customized treatment protocol for us, so that we can have our pelvic health at the top of our list. Another invitation for you is to work with the Vagina Coach, and she's going to tell you to go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist as well. But this is Kim Vopney. She's the Vagina Coach. You find her, she has amazing social media channels, lots of quality online information, and she has, oh, I thought I had it open. She has an app called the Buff Muff app. And you can get it at this link, vaginacoach.com/buffmuff app. It is 28 days of pelvic floor exercise. I'm restarting it again on September 1st because Kim has a 28-day challenge. I hope you'll join me. I have done it a few times now, and this is the reason why I'm doing it again. Well, twofold. One, we can't just do a bicep curl on September 1st and check the box. We have to do bicep curls 2-3 times a week. This is our pelvic floor, an important set of muscles that require regular exercise. So it has to be a commitment and ongoing. But the thing that I love about Kim's app is quality of the exercise videos is amazing. B, it only takes 10 minutes a day. So we can do that, right? I can do it, you can do it. And finally, I love that it's an app now because I get the reminders, and it's really good for me to leave the desk that I'm at and go and do it. So I hope that I'll see you in the Buff Muff app. How are we doing? Okay, for time, just checking on time. I wanted to address this question of moisturizers versus lubricants, because I know that that can sometimes be confusing. If the question is, should I use a moisturizer or a lubricant? The answer is yes, use both. This is an old picture, obviously, but that is the Menopause Chicks Hyaluronic Acid Vaginal Moisturizer with the lubricant that I use, which is from Good Clean Love. And I'm going to share with you why I use this one. There are lots of other choices. Oh, and these are all the testimonials that members have posted. So if you go to moisturizervagina.com or purepharmacy.com/menopause chicks and just click on the Menopause Chicks moisturizer, all of the reviews and testimonials that you'll see there are from members, your fellow members of the Menopause Chicks community. So if you have any questions or clarification that's required, you can always ask it today or in the community. But this is a place that it warms my heart to know that some women are having their quality of life influenced in a positive way because of this product. Good Clean Love, I chose after I learned about the pH level of our vagina, osmolality, and the fact that any lubricant that is a warming product or has a big marketing budget, we need to be savvy consumers and we need to ask some questions. So going back to the question of, do I need a moisturizer or a lubricant? This is really important. Moisturizers are an investment. They're for long-term health. You want to apply a moisturizer away from sexual activity and allow your skin cells to soak up that quality hyaluronic acid and vitamin E and heal dryness and or prevent dryness. Lubricants, on the other hand, are for one-time use. They're like the oil that you put in your frying pan to prevent friction. They're designed to prevent friction during sexual activity with or without a partner. But it's not as simple as just going to the drugstore shelf and pulling something off. Because I think I had a oh yeah, it's not as simple as going to the drugstore shelf and just pulling something off and assuming that it's going to work. You could actually be affecting the pH level in our vagina, which is naturally around 4.5 to 5.5. And that does change with hormone fluctuations. It can change with getting our period. It can change with sperm. But the what we really want is a healthy vagina that returns to its natural pH level after any of those things. And we don't want any product that's going to negatively impact the pH of our vagina, because then we're more susceptible to infection and other types of discomfort. So I don't know if you can see this, but I got this from Dr. Cara Denisio during a really, really early edition of the Vagina Dialogues. It's from Smitten Kitten. So you can go to smittenkittenonline.com and have a look. But what I learned just from the brands that I was familiar with in looking at that in the list, first of all, is that Good Clean Love definitely sits in the 4 area. And remember, the natural pH level of vagina needs to be around 4 to 5 or 4.5 to 5.5. But the other thing that I learned was that there are some products out here at the high level, the level that we don't want, that are maybe warming products, like a warming liquid, or simply brands that have a fairly big marketing budget. So they probably sell more units, but they are not required as manufacturers of lubricants to list the pH level on their packaging. It's not a requirement. So you could be pulling something off the shelf that's actually not going to work in the best interest of your health. Okay. So any questions about that, pop them into the Q&A. I want to talk about incontinence because it's an important topic that we could spend an entire hour on unto itself. But I often get asked, how does moisturizing my vagina prevent incontinence? And it doesn't. It's not a straight line, but the dotted line, which is super important, is the fact that the more we can prioritize the health of our pelvic floor and our vagina, the better situated we are to prevent incontinence, to prevent pelvic organ prolapse, and even to prevent infection like UTIs, urinary tract infections. So I'm going to throw the numbers. Remember, I promised to save you over $50,000 today. This 2025 is just around the corner, and this is the projection of disposable urinary incontinence products in the US. $16 billion by 2025. It's a very, very large number for nursing home residents. It impacts more females than males. And if you are experiencing, and you might not call it incontinence, but if you leak urine when you're not intending to, like when you laugh, cough, or sneeze. Before I saw my pelvic floor physiotherapist, this was a big issue for me during allergy season in the spring. So when I sneeze a lot, I was leaking urine. I didn't call it incontinence. I didn't know what all the different types of incontinence were, but in fact it is. And so if you watch my appointment on YouTube, Lacey actually taught me the knack, which is a strategy so that I no longer leak urine when I laugh, cough, or sneeze. So that's really important. You might be dealing with something that's more severe than that. And even getting up in the middle of the night once or twice or 3 times or more is a form of incontinence. If you're using disposable incontinence products, that runs around $1,300 a year. And I don't know how old you are, but let's say that that is something that you need for the next 30 or 40 years. You are looking at over $52,000. So if that's not a reason to go see a pelvic floor physiotherapist and sign up for Kim Vopney's 28-day challenge, I don't know what is. Very quickly, UTIs. I have learned so much about urinary tract infections this year, and I have a copy of a webinar that we did in May with Dr. Colleen McDermott. She's a urogynecologist, and I'm actually going to include the link to that webinar, which includes Q&A as well, in the replay when I send it out tomorrow, because I really want you to watch it. But some of the big learning for me is that 8 million doctor visits per year are the result of urinary tract infections, and they can be prevented. Now, what happens post-menopause when our estrogen declines is that our urethra can get shorter and smaller, shrink in size, and then it becomes more susceptible to bacteria. So that's why if you've ever seen a list of some of the common experiences associated with estrogen decline, it lists UTIs and incontinence. And the reason why UTIs is there is because exactly that. The lack of estrogen is impacting the health of the urethra. And can we please be preventative and prevent these 8 million doctor visits, because you know that they are turning into prescriptions for antibiotics, and over time, antibiotics just don't work to get rid of that bacteria. I've got yes, cranberries, but. So cranberries are very powerful in terms of preventing UTIs, but it is not, a product. If you're taking like a multivitamin that includes cranberry, there isn't going to be enough quantity or quality packs in that product to prevent UTI. So you want to go with something like Utiva, which is what Dr. McDermott recommends in the webinar. This is what she prescribes to her. It's not a prescription, something you can buy at utiva.com, but it is a protocol that she prescribes to her patients: localized estrogen therapy, so protecting the health of the urethra, and then preventing bacteria with high quality cranberry packs. So I want you to watch that webinar with Dr. McDermott and look at utivahealth.com. Oh yeah, and this is a quote from Dr. Colleen McDermott. There is good evidence to show the positive impact of cranberry on reoccurring UTIs. And I hope that you'll take this information today and share it with women who are younger and older than you. So younger women will often be affected by UTIs maybe after sex. And older women are experiencing UTIs and they don't know that they can be prevented with that protocol of localized estrogen therapy and cranberry packs. And that could be impacting their quality of life, their ability to move, and it could be impacting their brain health. So I hope you'll pay this information forward. This is just a recap of what I talked about off the top, about all of your options that are available for prioritizing your vulva and vaginal health. And then I wanted to pop in and answer your questions. These are some common questions that I do get in the Menopause Chicks community. I don't know if they are yours today or not, but we're going to open up the chat for Q&A. Please ask your question. I'm not going to say your name because I might share this video today in the Menopause Chicks community. So know that I'm not going to say your name, but ask your question, because if it's a question for you, it very well could be a question for another member or members of the Menopause Chicks community. And they're going to be grateful when they watch this replay to you for asking it. So I'm just going to stop sharing here for a second. That work. There we go. And open up the chat. How is everybody doing? Thank you so much. It's we're 45 minutes in. So as I mentioned, I'll stay until all of the questions have been addressed to the best of my ability. If you have to go, this replay will be in your inbox tomorrow, and you can always reach out and ask me any questions that you have. All right. Hello from Montreal. Hey, this quickly can become a mental health and or a marital relationship issue. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I fear that, if women aren't talking about this in their doctor's office, they're probably not even talking about it with their partners and their loved ones. And so that sense of isolation and feeling like you're alone and the only one, you're right, doesn't fare well for our mental health. And it certainly, I know many stories where it impacts relationship status and quality. So that's a really, really good point. Interested in the red light therapy? Yeah, I find a lot of our members are interested in that. So please check out joylux.com, or the product is called V-Sculpt. And it is something that you can, in Canada, you can order on the shopping channel, actually. But it's something that you can order and use at home. It's an at-home red light therapy. So that's definitely something you might want to look into. Oh my goodness, I'm trying pelvic floor therapy today for the first time. That's amazing. I have a wish, and I hope that you'll help make it come true, that we begin to regard pelvic floor physiotherapists like going to the dentist. We go to the dentist every 6 months. They call us, they remind us it's time to come in. We need to do the same for our pelvic floor, for our quality of health now, as well as an investment in the quality of life that we have for the next 3 to 5 decades. So that is amazing. I overuse the word amazing, but I can't help myself. The moisturizer is fantastic. I keep it at home and at the cabin, and I do not miss a dose. I know this member, but I promise not to say names. I love this story. Sometimes I will look at the orders that come in, and I'll notice that a member has ordered like 230 grams. And so I make up stories. I'm like, oh, she's ordering 230-gram size. And so I think, oh, maybe she's giving one to her mother or to her grandmother, and they're just ordering it together, which is a story that I absolutely love. And then this particular member doesn't travel with it. She keeps one at home and one at the cabin. So that's really, really cool. Does the localized estrogen therapy increase risk of breast cancer? No. Hormone therapy doesn't increase risk of breast cancer unless you have breast cancer. And that would be a completely different story, that you would have everybody has a risk assessment, but you'd have a serious investigative conversation with your oncologist and your hormone expert. But localized estrogen therapy is commonly used by breast cancer patients, and so is the hyaluronic acid, which you don't need a prescription for. And so if you know someone who's going through breast cancer treatment, or who is a breast cancer survivor and has chosen not to pursue hormone therapy, this might be a great gift as a prevention and or treatment strategy. I'm trying pelvic floor physio today and haven't tried the hyaluronic acid yet. Can I enjoy penetrative sex in a reasonable time after a year of not being able to due to extreme atrophy? I'm 50 and 1 year post-menopause. I am so glad that you shared your story and posted that question. First of all, let me clarify. When I talk about having sexual activity as a prevention strategy for vaginal dryness, that is if you are not currently experiencing any pain or discomfort with penetrative sex, okay? You are not experiencing any pain. You do not engage in sexual activity if you are experiencing pain. If you are experiencing pain, you're going to run through the menu list that we talked about today. You're going to get in to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. You're going to moisturize with hyaluronic acid, and hopefully you'll have a conversation with your health team about the benefits of localized estrogen therapy. Now, your big question is how long? I'm afraid I don't have an answer. The reason I don't have an answer for how long is because we are all at different ages and stages of hormone health and dryness. And so it really depends on how long you've been without hyaluronic acid, because the moisturizer is going to rebuild the hyaluronic acid that your body used to make on its own. Same with estrogen. It doesn't sound like you may have been without estrogen for a long time, since you only reached menopause a year ago. So I have there, click on reviews and you can read some of the stories from fellow members, but I would be insane to say that you're going to see results in 2 weeks, because everyone is different. I can tell you that the majority of the reviews and feedback that I receive from women are that they do notice an improvement in dryness or an improvement in comfort quickly. Sometimes that's right away. Some women were like, it happened that day, like that night, I felt so much better after moisturizing. And that's going to be the same as if, you know, if you have really dry elbows, like super, I don't know how, really dry elbows, and they're cracked, and then you get a really heavy duty moisturizer, the first time you use it, like it is going to feel better right away, but it might not heal or get to a place where you're like really want to show off your beautiful elbows until you've used the moisturizer for a couple of weeks. So the same thing is going to be true with your vulva and vagina. And reach out, message me if you have any other questions about that. But I would say don't engage in penetrative sexual activity until you're comfortable yourself. And I hope that you know, either by using your finger or a toy, whether or not you are ready for, if it is penis and vagina sex that you're talking about, if you're ready for that to be comfortable. And then the other tip that I would just add is talk to your partner, and communicate what is happening. Share this video if you want to. Be like, here's the link, go watch it. You'll learn so much. No one has ever told you this information before. And oh, by the way, I'm the one that asked the question about X. And I think that, you know, having somebody else explain it to your partner or loved one sometimes goes a long way. You don't have to do that, but that's just an idea. I'm really glad that you're going to a pelvic floor physio today. Please circle back and let me know how that works for you. It would be a nice Christmas gift. I'll be patient. I think you mean the Joylux, but I hope you mean the vaginal moisturizer, because you could then give this to all your friends. Imagine this in a stocking. It'd be so cool. I know it's like so hot in here today, and it's a bit early to be talking about Christmas gifts, but yeah, why not? Why not? I don't see any other questions in the queue. I, again, want to thank you for taking time out of your day and for putting your own name at the top of your to-do list by registering for this edition of the Vagina Dialogues. Please circle back on Monday when we have the new Feel Amazing. It's the same formula. It's just approved by Health Canada with an NPN, which is a natural product number, and it's got a new label. It's called Feel Amazing Vulva and Vaginal Moisturizer. It is now available to everyone, whether you're a Menopause Chick member or not, and it has an extended shelf life. So the best before date was quite limited on the compounded product, and now this has a best before date of 2 years. So I'm really proud of this work. I'm really grateful that so many of you spoke up so that we were able to create something together that is actually improving the quality of women's life. And you have been a part of that journey with me. So thank you, and go have a great day, everybody. Bye.